This year we'd like to do something a little bit different and probably more special for our seniors. With the help of Pablo, who is editing all this, we're gonna not only get my thoughts on our players, but we're also gonna see some of their highlights and some of their pictures, which I think will be far more entertaining than just looking at me. Chris Carratu, number 1, outside linebacker. Also on the Storm package, he was the tight end. Anchored our defense, a record that I never thought would be broken. The Zach Allen sack record came up. He's one of our leading tacklers, maybe our leading tackler. Tremendous effort, someone that really works hard, that wants to be good, is looking forward to playing in college, and a guy we're going to definitely miss, and I look forward to seeing how well he's going to do in college. Dean Ciancio. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. And when you look at Dean, everybody thought that they could pick on him. They could, put a bigger receiver, but just like his brother, that never happened. He's one of, I think, an exclusive club where both brothers had interceptions in the Turkey Bowl and helped us defeat Darien. So that alone. But a guy that takes a tremendous amount of pride in being a football player at New Canaan. Robert Evans, a young man that's been playing football since 3rd grade. This year we were expecting a tremendous year out of him, but unfortunately one of life's curveballs blew out his ACL, had to have surgery, but yet he was at most practices, was very supportive at all the games. He's a tremendous part of our program, and we're going to miss him. I wish he had another year. Nick Giglio, another brother combo that played at New Canaan High School. One of my fondest memories is during homecoming and the interception that he made. True competitor, a great teammate, a guy that I think everybody on the team respects and likes a lot. A guy that you could always count on. He was always there. He's worked hard. He's worked through a lot of disappointments in either through injury or whatever. But he was always there, and truly it's guys like Nick that are the backbone of any team. So we're going to miss Nick Giglio. Jack Hagan comes from a proud football family. Between his grandfather and his dad, both played, coached, and Jack was a tremendous outside linebacker for us. Unfortunately, he was plagued by injuries, but yet was able to come back and be a contributor on special teams or wherever was needed. He's a guy that was a good teammate, a guy that you could count on, and certainly a guy that we're going to miss next year. Jack Hynes. Jack was a guy that I saw in the hallway, and I saw his size, and eventually, thank God, convinced him to go out. And he was a guy that came out for football late as a junior. He was in crew before that, but he worked really hard at learning the position of offensive guard, which is not easy, and filled in as a starter when needed. And then if we needed a backup, Jack really, I wish I had Jack for another year. I wish I can get those freshman and sophomore years back because he did a great job, and a guy that we're certainly going to miss. Jaden Konspore. If you talk about someone that's undersized, and as a matter of fact, his nickname is Gumdrop, you'd never know that he was the quarterback of our offensive line, a guy that would identify the protections, identify the blocking schemes, and help out. He loved playing football. He certainly was way better than I thought he could ever be, but he just willed it and desired it. He's just tough. He handles some of the best defensive linemen in the state. So Jaden Konspore, we'll miss him. Dylan McDonald. Dylan has worked very hard in our off-season program and has become a much better athlete. He's vital on our special teams, and his unselfish attitude made him an outstanding teammate. His attention to detail in all facets of the game was critical for our success. We will certainly miss Dylan's contributions and positive attitude next season. Luke McPhillips. A guy that was at everything that we've done, a tremendous special teams player, a kid that you can always count on. Did some things on special teams that he was asked to do that probably went unnoticed, but was one of those guys that made it all work. And a guy that you can really count on to be there and to do whatever was asked. We're going to miss Luke McPhillips. Andrew Morse, aside from the fact that he can grow a beard in a week and was our meanest looking player, he was the brains of the defense. He would tell people where to line up, how to line up, what to do, studied a lot with the game plan, and was really one of the linebackers that you knew was going to be around the football. He's done a great job. His brother played for us, and a guy certainly we're going to miss next year. Luke Morton, Morty. Luke had some great moments for us. He made some great catches, did some outstanding things. A guy that I think really has a future in football. Hopefully we can prep next year, find a good place for him where he can really emphasize some of what he could do. Because of injuries and things like that, he ended up playing at split end for us, but he did a tremendous job. Fast, intelligent, and really a good athlete. A guy that has a lot of potential as far as football goes in the future. Luke Morton. Ethan Niang. Unfortunately for Ethan, he was injured and missed the greater part of the season. But when he was playing early, he showed signs of being a tremendous football player. And I really have to give him a lot of credit for his attempt at football. Not sure what the future holds for him as far as football goes. If he does decide to take a prep year and play, he's got a lot of potential. But he's certainly going to be a lineman that we'll miss next year, and we wish him all the best. Ethan Niang. Willie Peron, certainly our biggest lineman and the guy that we really counted on. As far as being a pulling guard, if you see some of his clips and some of the hits he's made on defensive ends coming up the field, just some of the best blocking of any lineman that I've had here at New Canaan. Big, strong, physical, knew what he was doing, and did a great job at doing it. And also played on the other side of the ball on defense. I think he has a tremendous career ahead of him, and a guy that we're going to have to try to replace, which isn't going to be easy, Will Pirrone. Kyle Russel. Kyle Russel came from really a kid that we weren't sure where he was going to play into one of Drew Pyne's prime targets, and a kid that, you know, I very seldom have seen him drop a pass. He's always in the right place. Really, I'm so glad he came out, because he showed what you can do. You don't have to be big, but a kid that ran precise patterns and made some great catches for us. And I think really loved playing the game of football. Certainly a receiver we're going to miss. It's going to be hard to replace Kyle Russel. Tadeo Sahaguian. I don't believe there's a player on our team that loves football more than Tadeo. Came here from Mexico mainly to play football, and I think his first attempt at football, he found it was very different than what he was used to in Mexico. And in most cases, that would make people just absolutely quit because they weren't up to snuff, but he didn't. He stayed with it. I think a thumb injury held him back a little bit, but he was able to come in and give us some valuable minutes. A guy that absolutely loves football, and I hope he goes on in college and tries to play, because if he keeps going at the rate that he has, I think he'll be able to do that. Tadeo Sahaguian. Aazim, a guy that came out for football from soccer. He started out as a kicker, worked his way to be a receiver, and was a guy that came to our 7-on-7s, did a really good job. And just at the time when he was about to become a true contributor, was injured, you know, did not have the season that I had hoped for him, and I think he had hoped for. But a guy that was a team guy, he was there all the time, he would help out, and a guy that, you know, I wish had one more year. We're gonna miss Oz. Walker Swindell. Walker, one of our best athletes, a guy that really anchored the secondary down. You knew that going up against some of the best passers in the state, that he was able to cover most anybody that he faced. Aside from that, we could always use him on the other side of the ball because he's one of our better receivers. A guy that came down, made some great catches for us, and certainly has been a contributor all the way through every year that he's played. A guy that we're going to definitely miss in the future. Walker Swindell. Bailey Williams. Bailey Williams, I wish he had one more year because he's been right there. And he's worked his way up where he's gotten valuable minutes. I mean, minutes where we really needed him. Always willing to help, would play anywhere. When we played McMahon, he was the fullback. We played other teams. He would play on the offensive line, on the defensive line. A coach favorite and a guy that we're going to miss because no one has more pride in being a part of this football team than Bailey Williams. And we wish him well because we know he wants to play. Bailey Williams. Haonan Zheng. He's our football player from China. Came an awful long way as a football player, but is a tremendous person. I remember as a freshman trying to learn the game, and it was so foreign to him, but yet he stuck it out and he kept working out and he got better and better. And just at the point when he was going to give us some minutes that we could have used him, he got injured, and unfortunately his year ended, and he gave everything he could, and now has become a decent football player. So if he decided he wanted to play in the future, he could. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce our captains. Captains who led us back to the state playoff, who when things were going bad and we were 2-2, people weren't sure, but they got together, they rallied our team, and were able to make something special out of this season. Jack Finnegan, our leading tackler, a guy that is a fierce competitor. Everybody picked up from his energy on the field. Would help out in special teams. Certainly didn't want to get him mad at you because he would come at you all the more. Even if you go back to the 7-on-7s where he collided with another player and had to get multiple stitches in his head. His toughness, his competitiveness, that type of play on the field is, something to behold and something that we're going to miss next year. Jack Finnegan. Drew Guida. If you want to know what kind of competitor Drew Guida is, all you have to do is know that with a broken collarbone, he convinced not only the doctor but his mom that he was able to play. And to watch him go in, he was not going to sit out his last game, especially after having missed the beginning of the season. I think he'll do very well at Tufts. We're very excited to watch him as his college career develops. Super teammate, someone that we're all going to miss, Drew Guida. Zach LaPolice, a guy that many people and coaches doubted in the beginning of the year, and a guy that we really needed to come through if we were going to be successful. Zach, each week, seemed to get better and better and better. One of the premier receivers, I believe, in the state. With his speed, quickness. Not only did he play on the offensive side and was a vital key player, but was on the defensive side as a defensive back. I'm just so proud of how he's developed, how he's matured, and he's just all over the field and really wanted to play. And again, another guy that in the state semifinal played with a broken bone in his hand but just refused to come out. Zach LaPolice. Drew Pyne. Drew Pyne came to New Canaan, I think in 8th grade, and he had already had scholarship offers from Florida State and a number of other schools. I could go on and give you all his stats and tell you how impressive he is, but the most impressive thing is what he's done off the field, as far as being a role model for our youth, as far as being a great teammate and leader, as far as being a guy that you could always count on for being there. Works hard and gets other people to work as hard along with him. A guy that has given so much of himself. But as good of a football player as he is, he's a better person for all he's done for us here at New Canaan. Matt Riggione. Matt certainly has been one of our really good captains, a guy that was injured last year, had to overcome surgery, and had that long rehab back. In the beginning of the year was a little tentative, but then somewhere around the middle of the year, all of a sudden found out that he could play and he could really do a good job. That old ridge that we had before was back. And one of the toughest guys to block because he's so quick and agile. One of our leading tacklers and certainly one of our sack leaders. A kid that we really hope is going to continue playing, Matt Riggione.
It all. Ain't no way I could break it off. Girl, is you really down to pay the cost? Reverse the role that you can play the ball. In the day, I used to say, a girl like you, I used to pray for days for. Now my ear like way more. What the fuck would I stay for? Why the fuck would I wait for? Saying it's just gonna kill me, Nikki, I'm still me, but I'm just better. It's been 6 months since we touched last, but I grow fast with this letter, and I swear to God that I'm better.
Was it the money that made me a savage? Popping them prices and I made it a habit. Towing them pictures and serving them addicts. That was exciting to me. I'm so excited to be. Started with nothing, we had to inspire the beat. They fly to me, I'm getting to it. Feel like the man, I got the plan. I call the shooters, they out with the van. Play with the squad, get pile like a sand.